All right. It is Friday. We are fired up.
Yes.
And
Friday. Here
we
go.
What up? It's about time to kick off with the Magic Mind.
There you go. Do more, stress less.
Exactly.
Which is a great bumper sticker.
Cheers, sir.
Boom. There we go. Cheers.
Yeah. Send us one.
Yeah. Who knows who has a connected Magic Mind? Is
Right.
what we need.
Well, it's like now I saw the other day to like Tim Dillon and a couple other heavy hitting podcasters. So it's like they wouldn't even send us an empty box at this point. Like psych. So man, all right, let me. I gotta hit my gummies too.
There you go.
Dude.
There
I hadn't
you go.
been here.
Man alive.
Dude,
I hadn't stacking up.
I hadn't been in a couple of days, so it's like I was just like dumb yesterday. I was just like walking around stupid.
Sometimes you do need a break too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
every once in a while, you just need to like go for a walk without your phone. You know what I mean? Which that's a crazy idea. It's a crazy idea. I mean, that's enough for me. Do you ever see that comedian that talks about mindfulness? And he's like, I didn't realize I used to be like a freaking guru. He's like, if you waited for the bus, you just like waited for the bus. Right? Like if you were waiting for something to get done, like you just waited, right? You went and you went to the bathroom. You just actually went to the bathroom. I mean, have you ever left the bathroom to go get your phone? Because you're like, I'm not doing that without my phone. I mean, what are we talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or I have an angle to where I can see. See.
Yeah. He's like, I used to just go to the bathroom and like think. He's like, I was a guru, and now it's no longer.
And I freely admit that today's world has completely destroyed my attention span.
Oh.
Where I will not sit through an entire movie. I'm trying to think. I don't even know like the last thing that I saw at the theater without just it just makes me crazy.
Yeah.
And I fidget.
Yeah.
And
no, the other day I was watching the hockey game. On my phone, I was watching a video that I needed to watch. So I'm watching the hockey game on the TV. I'm watching a video on my phone, and I'm playing a video game on a controller with my son. And here's the thing, like I was just like, oh, this is just what I do.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, I just had this moment of like, what is happening? Right, like you've got 3 inputs, you've got like all this stuff going, and
there's room for more.
Oh, and there's room for more. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why I forgot about the toast. Yeah.
Well, and so for me, it's crazy where I don't know what to do when there isn't like shit on fire or just chaos or whatever, and so I just randomly, I will look for stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I think the distractions. Do you think the distractions are? I think they're helpful to me often, where it's like. At least as long as I know that I'm mindful that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, I'm just wasting, because like the hustle porn feed on my Instagram, I could sit there for 20 minutes and just get re-fired up.
Yes.
And then,
but at the same time, like your dopamine is so maxed out. Like, are you actually that fired up? Like, are we actually getting anything done? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I mean. Right. Yes, so I get re-fired.
Like I watched, I would tell my clients all the time, you watched 1,000 videos, did you make one? They're like, I don't have time. Like, you watched 1,000.
Right.
And if you've watched 100 videos and you haven't made 2, like, then you are do you want to be a consumer or do you want to be a creator? And most of us have almost accidentally become consumers. And everybody else is getting paid because we're watching all these other videos, but we're not creating, right? Mm-hmm. Which, little side note, David Goggins reposted the video of our conversation yesterday.
Whoa!
And somebody sent it to me, and as of this morning, it was at like 5.2 million views.
Bruh. So I'm like, I got somebody internet famous with me here today,
dude. I mean that's crazy to have that much traction on that is insane.
Dude.
Yeah.
Well, and that's how this all started.
Yeah.
Because because I showed Lance yesterday, I showed him the actual message I sent you on Facebook Messenger whenever, because Jesus, I saw that, the video at the back of your head in the stadium.
Yeah.
I probably saw that 17 different times, repurposed feeds, whatever. And of course, I love Goggins, so it's like I'm just going to look to see, like, I kind of know where this is going.
Yes.
And of course, as the content creator or whatever, I would figure, like, okay, well, they're not going to post this if this wasn't just fire and him just, like, dropping the hammer, which he did.
He did. But to that point, why do you think, I mean, that thing, I've looked across a couple of different platforms. I mean, it's at like 60 million views.
Oh, yes.
With all the different things. Why do you think that clip has done what it's done?
Well, I can speak for myself 100% because that was the genesis of what we're doing right this very minute.
Yeah.
Because I saw that, like I said, repurposed. I saw it on Goggins' feed, and then everybody else who just drafts behind him and does all of that. Millions and millions of views. And then when you did the thing, it was maybe just 3 days later. Because I looked, and I remember it now because I showed those guys yesterday that it was November 28th of last year. And I said, hey, man, I don't know if shit happens for a reason, but in case it does, I've seen this fucking Goggins thing like 73 times. And when you did the thing, so for me personally, it was the fact that you told the truth in front of, because like there, I mean, Jesus, it's Goggins, all right? So it's like, I probably couldn't do one pull up right now with a gun to my head, but if he walked in the room, I could probably crank out 10.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
So like,
he'd be like, you want to run a 100K? You're like, yeah, I do, and you would just start running.
Right, with my flat feet and like stubby legs, I'm just like, I could do it. But there's that thing, and I think there's a certain spectrum or a certain swath of guys that the surface level of Goggins, where it's like, I'm the hardest, ever. It's like, okay, we want to be that because somewhere on a primal level, we realize like, okay, those dudes are needed. Like, regardless of everybody wanting to nerf the world in today's, universe or whatever, that's bullshit, dude. See how long that lasts when the lights go out.
Right. Yeah. It's like everybody hates, toxic masculinity until they need to like call for help.
Right. Exactly.
And it's like, send the biggest, most aggressive dude you got, because I just got the can kicked out of me.
Send
two of them. Yeah.
And so there is that. And then, so like that has a magnetism there because, especially when you know his story,
right?
Like the whole thing, like fat, he's like, he's a fat piece of shit, whatever. And then for him to have done it without today's, kind of almost like self-contained universe of hustle porn and manosphere or whatever you want to call it. So for him to actually do that and then tell the truth about that. Yeah. And then, so y'all were on the same page there where it's like, okay, speaking from personal experience, like having 2 divorces, it's like when it comes time to tell everybody, that shit sucks, man. And so for me, lifelong, my embarrassment my kryptonite has always been embarrassment. Yeah. It's like, oh, I could take ass whipping, and I could take like the house burning down or crashing a car, or, just whatever. But like, dude, embarrass me and surprise me with some shit that's embarrassing in front of people.
And wouldn't you say that shame?
Yeah, I mean, there's
underneath that. Yeah, and the feeling of like, if I feel shameful or embarrassed or.
For me, it's always been like my ego is tied to intellect. Mm-hmm. And there's this sort of like underlying thread of you should have known better. Because most of the time intellectually I did. Yeah. But
no, I did. Yeah.
Right. But we still are like these hairless apes running around with like our feelings and shit, Yeah. And so most people make decisions based on their feelings and then retroactively
justify them.
You make the facts fit the story that kind of helps them. But like with you, that thing with Goggins, and I think the killer was, what got me was where he goes like, what's your question? And you go, well, I got 2. And it's like the one I'm gonna, the one that I'll ask and the one I'm afraid to ask. I was like, damn, because I have no idea what that, I could hypothetically think of like what.
No, I had like this great like PC question. There was like, something to do with leadership and whatever, you know what I mean? And then like I got up there, I was like, I remember being in line. I was like, I think I need to ask him something else, and it came out just in that moment.
Yes,
and it was a dude that was suffering that just needed some help.
Yeah, well, and in that sort of like light going on in the recovery world, we call that the moment of clarity, because anybody that has a drug problem, especially if you're like physically addicted to something, like you can't sugarcoat that and spin that into a way like, no, dude, I'm only addicted to heroin like, a few days a week or whatever, Exactly. Yeah. So, but there is that moment where it's like this XY axis where the things converge, and all of a sudden, even though you've known what you were supposed to do for a long time and you've known what the answer was or whatever, or you've heard the same thing 1,000 times, it isn't until all those things line up, the stars align, and that moment of clarity hits where like now you can hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And so like you have that still small voice or whatever, and so you throw that out there, and then it wasn't even that, because in today's world, the move well, this is why I respect you, or not the only reason, but the move in today's world would be to take that piece,
Yeah.
and then put some spit shine on it and polish it up and say like, oh, this is what I meant to do all along.
Right.
And then like and then you jump in like Goggins mode or whatever. You're like, this is what you do whenever you're confronted. Versus the real thing where I saw you, like I said, it would have been probably the 26th or 27th of November where you did the Facebook live. It was either live or you did just you talking into the phone, little misty eyed, little squishy. And because I didn't know it was you.
Yeah. And nobody did.
Right.
I knew who that was. I just couldn't remember. Yeah, exactly. And then,
And like, where was that?
That was at the Frisco baseball
Like Rough
stadium.
Riders?
Yeah, Rough Riders
No
Stadium.
shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And so like for me, the thing that like closed the loop was the fact that you didn't just jump on it for clout.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, here's that time that I had a really tough, because a lot of dudes in the, toxic masculinity world or whatever, they'll talk about shit in the past tense.
They always talk about the past.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that, and I did a post or a video I think it was a post today where I was like, today's a shitty day. And I was like, today,
yes, I saw that.
I'm depressed. Like today,
You're
I'm
like,
sad.
I'm sad.
Right. And the reason I did that was not because I needed anybody to, I didn't do that because I wanted people to feel sorry for me or anything like that. I did that because I'm so tired of people that go like, oh, I had a bad time. It used to be tough, and I had a friend that like never had a bad day that day, but it was always like last week. And I was like, well, last week I asked you how you were, and you said you were good.
Yeah.
And now it's like, so you're never being legit with me is how I feel like. It's always in the past. It's always I was, and now I'm better. And I think it's so important to be like, no, like, and for me, like, what was it, a couple weeks ago, like, that was a bad day. And I was having a hard time that day. I was depressed. I was sad, right?
Yes.
So it's like, hey, I'm there right now. Thank God I know what to do, and I have a plan, and I got good people around me, but, like, this is where I'm at right now. And I think that's the thing.
And there's something about, again, to bring it into the world of recovery or whatever, because it just kind of spider webs into all of my life, but there's something about talking about the shit that certainly the old me would have considered embarrassing,
Right.
Or this is going to lower my social perception, in the eyes of others, because I was always doing perception management.
Yeah,
where it was like
100%.
Yeah, and so the idea of talking about current events when they weren't shiny and cool, not doing that.
Right.
And so I find a lot of people are looking for permission to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I didn't know you could just get on there and say like, I'm having a bad day, or this is tough, or what, or fill in the blank.
Well, we so don't want to be like that victim that's just like, poor me, poor me, poor me.
Yes.
So that's part of it. Then also it's like, are my clients watching? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is that.
And then there's like, so it's tied
Or my
literally
employees.
or my employees. It's tied to like my actual financial security. You know what I mean? So emotional, it all comes in. So back to that, like I think that's why groups and stuff are so important. One of the things we just started doing was like we have these small groups that we're creating with like 15 people. They're kind of in similar places that come together once a quarter. And the reason we're doing this is because like they need a place. They need a place to come into. Everybody literally signs an NDA when they walk in the room, and it's like nothing's recorded. There's no videos. There's no pictures. No nothing, right? And it's like you were just gone for 24 hours, right? It's basically right. Like, hey, I'm going to Dallas for 24 hours, right? You don't get to tell anyone. It's like our Fight Club, right? But it's like it's the one room where. And this last time we did it, there was huge people that everybody would know in that room that are having real conversations, going like, I think I need to do this. I think I need to do I don't know what to do here. Like I'm struggling. And these people that like 90% is phenomenal, but like they all have something going on. And here's what I would say, is like you need to create and find that safe place to have those conversations. You may not be able to have them on Facebook all day long,
right,
but you need to have them.
Right.
Like,
well, and I love that. And I love the fact that it's very analog.
Right. Yeah,
100%. Because, so I can't remember where it was earlier this week, but I was talking to some folks. It might have even been, I don't know, it all runs together. I'm doing stuff 7 days a week. But it was literally, if I hear another person talking about AI or this, that, or the other, it's like I'm going to just drive off a bridge. But my takeaway was the irony of everybody looking to the next newest tech thing or whatever. The thing that actually pays more dividends is some shit that my grandparents would have told me. Like look them in the eye, shake their hand, tell the truth, all this other stuff where it's like it always just seems so passe.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, what is this Pollyanna bullshit? Like we're living in a Disney movie, and Now it turns out that's the thing that resonates. And so tie back into the whole thing with the whole Goggins deal and the fact that you were just so real and like to this day, I don't know if I could have done that.
Yeah.
You know? And so there's always
and now you could have. And yet here's what's interesting is, I look like that video he reposted, yesterday. It's got, whatever, it's got 2,500 comments, I think it was last night or whatever, or this morning. And what's interesting is and I think it's important for people to know is like, the advice he gave me wasn't for everyone.
right.
And like, because he looked at me, he's like, could you do better? And I was like, yeah, I think I could do better, right? And yet he saw through my soul, and he goes like, this is a guy that's basically done. He could feel like I tried every freaking thing I can think of.
He basically did
right, like he saw through to the depths. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll throw my world religion skills out there. Hanuman, the monkey god,
there you
where he
go.
tears open his chest out of love. He tears open his
Yes.
chest and gives his heart.
Exactly.
And so that was the other thing where because it was perfect because you were freaked out, nervous, embarrassed, all of that stuff, and then like you said, he saw through that,
right through all
and
of
then
that.
was just like, and I'm like,
Boom.
bro,
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
and that whole thing about authenticity and being genuine or whatever, it's like, well, you're not going to get AI to, be genuine for you, which is what I think a lot of people mistakenly believe. And then I love the idea of the NDA and like the little like intentionally analog safe, in a space where it's like, okay, we can do this stuff. And so, speaking of spaces and new spaces, so got a little bit going on over there in Colleyville, South Lake. So we're going to have Studio USA West, but more importantly, another space that we're reopening up here on the internet will be the Leadership Laboratory.
Yes, the Leadership Laboratory.
So this is cooked up by Wayne. And so I love the idea of being intentional with what we're doing because like here, this is more my gimmick where it's like seat of the pants, which I love. And the fact that you've been like more than gracious in showing up every Friday, 5 kids and multinational, adventures notwithstanding. But, and even there, it's been so cool that I want to say Restream sent, we've been doing this now for 28 weeks.
So great. Yeah.
I'm like, all right,
It's
cool.
amazing. Yes.
Yeah. And then, but like, okay, so what's cooking up with the lab?
What are we cooking up? So, and this has been so fun. And you're like, hey, why don't you come by every Friday? And I'm like, every Friday? I'm like, you and I do not have time to just hang out, right? So I was like, all right, we'll try it out. Like, it's been awesome. And on top of that, I'm excited to go to actually launch Leadership Laboratory. And Leadership Laboratory is going to be about like the actual things that leaders need right now. So like yesterday we talked about like, here's an actual delegation process. Here's how you fire well. Here's what your people need from you right now and how to deliver that. Here's the right. So we're going to go into like, how do you be a better leader? Especially for those that are leading brokerages or real estate teams or other companies, but like nobody is really equipping the leaders in at least so much that I'm not seeing on the level that they need. They need real world. They don't need a bunch more hustle porn. They need like, hey, when your person says this, here's the question to ask them. Hey, when you're going through this, how do we take it from there? And so going deep into those, giving them the formulas, giving them the stuff, and bring on some really great people that are actually legit leaders in the trenches.
I love
and
it.
having some of those conversations. So I'm thrilled to launch that.
And so I absolutely believe that the universe rewards effort.
Yes.
That's sort of my underlying philosophy where it's like just suit up and show up, And if you do that enough,
Yes.
everything just lines up.
Absolutely.
And so for me, like everything you just said there, I am terrible at. Now, I'm orders of magnitude better than when I started, but like when you start at like a -5, ramping up to a -2 is massive improvement. Because the thing that I have found, much to my surprise and the old me's dismay, it's all about people.
It is.
It really is, and it's funny because Jordan, shout out to Jordan and Lance. Jordan, probably like 2.5 years ago, he turned me on to the book Who Not How, and I'm like, oh yeah, dude, badass. I bought it on Audible or whatever, and it probably sat in my little library gimmick for at least 6 months, and then I don't know, I was driving somewhere at the ass end of nowhere, like shooting something in Oklahoma or acreage out in.
Right, I got 6 hours.
Exactly. And it's like, there was absolutely nothing new on my podcast feed that was riveting. So I throw that on, and it's just like alchemically, it's just changing my brain the whole way. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh man, maybe I was mistaken about, because my whole thing was, kind of you get to where you wear all the hats, and I had this. It's the combination of imposter syndrome and or anxiety of just not knowing how to let go. And that's one of those things that it was like, holy mackerel.
And like not knowing how to do it well is so interesting. One of my clients, literally, actually, as I'm about to walk into MetroTech last week, I'm in my truck doing a coaching call, and he was gracious. I was like, I'm going to be driving. He's like, cool. So, and we on this call, and he goes like, and he starts saying he needs to grow his company. He's got people banging down his door to get his services. And he goes, I'm just not good at delegation. I don't like delegating. I don't like having team. Right? He starts saying all these things. And I'm like, I know this is a great guy. I know he likes helping people and supporting everything else. And I was like, I don't think it's that. I think it's you don't have a process. I think it's you don't have a way to feel that it's not hot potato. And it's also like you have to let it go. Like there's this place that's in the middle of this beautiful delegation, this beautiful leadership. And so we went through all these different things, like things we'll share on Leadership Laboratory. And yesterday we were doing our coaching call, and he goes, "I'm going to get I'm going to make 6 hires by the end of the year, right? Within 1 week, because I gave him the actual thing.
That's it.
Here's how to lead. Here's how to hold them accountable. Here's the actual way to do this well. And here we are, like 7 days later, and he went through stuff and learned it and did everything, and he's fired up. And so not only is his business going to grow, fired up. See what he did there?
I see.
Right. Not only is he going to grow his business and help all these people, but he's also going to create opportunities for 6 other people to go have phenomenal jobs.
And that was the thing that I did not understand, or even I wasn't even cognizant of it, to not, you know what I mean, to try to understand. It was, oh no, you're actually helping people by, I often take Cruz as my, shining example, because I mean, he was essentially working for furniture movers that, with one of my staging partners. Shout out to Nikki.
And now
what
he's
up,
a
Design
legend.
Quad? Yeah, and now he's like I told him the other day, he's like, no, you're officially a Jedi. You're no longer
Absolutely.
an apprentice or a Padawan.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he'd never done anything
Yep.
in at the level of what we do now, and 3.5 years later, he's fully equipped, and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that the payoff that comes from that is not monetary.
Yes.
It's like, oh, and now I'm fired up. See what I did there? where it's like, okay, let's lather, rinse, repeat.
Yes.
And then again, universe rewards effort.
Yep.
Lance calls me the day before yesterday and telling me about Colleyville. He goes, I wanted to surprise you tomorrow, but I can't hold it. And I'm like, dude, it's like Christmas regardless.
Yeah.
And then we go and walk it and everything, and it's like, dude, I have no idea. So you were talking about like accountability or whatever. Like my biggest thing is I don't know if I want to backslide into my old behavior, because it's like I know how to deal with shit being on fire or life is chaos and addiction and all that. What I didn't know, or what I'm learning, is what do you do when it's going well? Where, oh wow, my tags are current on my car.
Right. Yeah.
Because there was dude, back in my 20s or whatever, back in the day, for all you digital folks out there, there used to be this thing that was an insurance card that was actually printed on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And it's like,
We had printers.
yes. Well, and back in the day, it was like, well, if I got the card, I don't really need the insurance.
Yeah.
All I'm worried about is the ticket.
That 7 looks like a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, exactly. And now to be where, like, I look back and I'm like, wow, that was crazy. There was a lot of, wow, that was crazy. But now to be, like, dude, the CPA is just whipping my ass.
Yeah.
Just, I'm going over these spreadsheets and line item
beautiful.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And now that there's a light at the end of the tunnel there, I'm like, okay, wow, this feels cool. Like, ooh, we've got a CPA, and I upload to the portal, and just all the things that I would have never.
But it's like, can you enjoy the peace? And I had one of my clients just, maybe 2 days ago, we're talking, and she's like, I feel so bad I didn't get blank and blank and blank. She goes, I wish I would have got more done last week, whatever. She didn't even have specifics. She just goes, I wish I would have got more done. I go, well, you did exactly what you wanted to do. Like, she did the work she wanted to do. She spent the time with the kids that she wanted. Like, she did all, and I was like, what would you change about this week? And she's like, actually nothing. And I was like, isn't it interesting? We're addicted to beating ourselves up, yet last week was exactly what you wanted it to be. But because you didn't work 80 hours or 100 hours, you feel like this undescribable guilt that is actually total BS because it was the exact week you wanted.
Well, and it's so crazy that you say that because I absolutely have that in me.
Yeah.
And so, like, my, family of origin or whatever, grandparents, like, all my grandfathers and dads were military veterans, and
You were raised by wolves.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, my mom did use, whenever I turned into like the monstrosity that I was through my teens and 20s, she's like, I think you were dropped here by a UFO. Like, I don't know what the hell, I don't know where you came, because like, truth is, all of my insanity and my wolf-like behavior, I was the sore thumb that stuck out from my shockingly normal and boring family. And so for that to be my, sort of foundation layer where they were all blue collar work ethic, World War II veterans, go to the thing, you go to a place that you do a thing, they pay, you give you a check and all of that. And then I saw how hard they worked, that somewhere along the line, I got that baked in to where it's not allowed to be easy.
Right. Yeah.
And and just really weird stuff that you have to unlearn about money and how people get money and all that. But that whole thing of beating your own ass as far as we didn't do enough, or if something comes easy, well, even just to bring it to like exact moment current events, was like when Lance tells me about like, yeah, dude, second location, blah, 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 whatever. I'm like, well, that can't be that easy, can it? And it's like, it falls out of the sky, like completely put together and like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And now I've learned to just shut up and say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Versus like, I don't deserve this or whatever.
Yeah.
And so now, are you having success with people like unlearning that sort of behavior?
Yeah. And I think I have to tap into, so I have like say people like, I want to be more present with my kids. So instead of being like, okay, cool, like just turn it all off, I have to actually make that a goal for them. So I have to tap into what drives them, which is like being goal oriented, getting stuff done. So it's like, I do have to make it feel kind of like work in the beginning.
Yes.
Like, what if you could sit for an hour without your phone? Like, I bet you can't. You know what I mean? And like, let's track it. You know what I mean? Like, I got to make it feel like a
okay,
goal.
so you make it quantifiable.
Exactly. And that is that. If I can make that a goal, that's
brilliant.
That can help. Yeah.
Because like I'm wired the same way. And so one of my cliche things that I say now is evidence breeds confidence.
Yes.
It's like, so the cure for imposter syndrome is to do the shit.
Correct. Yeah.
Do the shit and then look at what you've done.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if you're half-assing it, you're not internally, you're going to know that.
Right. Yes.
So it's like, good luck trying to outrun that.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like an imposter or a fraud because you kind of are.
Yeah.
And the whole shortcut thing, and even the guys that work for him, like, don't do it for the money.
Right.
Because if you're doing it for the money, sooner or later it's going to feel like work. And that thing that you love, now you're going to hate and you're going to resent and you're going to be basically ungrateful for a thing that years ago you would have killed to just even sniff at,
Well, and like you said, work hard. And we talked about this a couple months ago. If you can enjoy the game as much as you enjoy winning the game, enjoy playing as much as you enjoy winning, right? Celebrate the wins, but you got to figure out how do I enjoy playing at the same time. And it's so key. It doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, but like you got to get that part dialed in.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I am like dialing it in. It's like I am dying to do the leadership lab thing.
So good.
Because I will freely admit that you will drive the bus. I'll be in the sidecar, just going like, I didn't know that. That's going to be my mantra the whole time, because I can freely admit that everything that I've done so far has probably succeeded in spite of me,
right?
Rather than because of me.
Yeah.
Because I've learned so many things the hard way.
Yeah.
Which, well, the nice part is once the tumblers click and it all unlocks, it's pretty much that's baked in from here on. But dude, like I said, I could take ass whipping.
Yeah.
I could. And I have done the right thing for the wrong reasons before, and then figured out like, hey, hey, that one, that turned out all right. But okay, so we're gonna dial that in, and then we're gonna have all sorts of intentional things. And so Ashely will be here. Shout out to Ashely; she'll be here shortly from Metrotex. So we got more stuff coming up there. So the next goal, I think, is maybe like a 2-hour gimmick that we do down there. We shoot it, we carve it up. Maybe launch a leadership lab from there.
That would be great. By the way, we're looking for one sponsor so that we can pay our editor for Leadership Lab. There we go.
Love it.
Right. So if you want to be the sponsor for Leadership Laboratory, let us know to fund the editor to do all of that work. And but man, I'm excited. And if you know of a great leader that you look up to, that you think would be great for us to interview, like send us not make the connection. Obviously, we have an endless list, but we're always excited to learn new
Absolutely.
leaders. And sometimes the best leaders are not obvious. You know what I mean? Like they're the quiet leaders, are the ones you didn't hear about. So yeah, we're excited about that.
Let's do it, man.
But I think the takeaway from all of this is, at least for me, from our conversation, is like get back to that authentic self. Relationships are everything. And then if you don't have a room where you can be authentic in, you need to get in one, right? So it's whether reach us out to us, like find it, like if you need to go create it, like, but you've got to get into a place where you can have those safe, tough, really authentic conversations.
We can be real and not be scared.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, brother.
Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah. Take us out, Peter.